Hey up, sniffers! Welcome back to Making Sense Make Sense, the podcast that's all about demystifying the world of fragrance. Last time I checked, I was still Thomas Dunkley and still your host. It's my mission to make sense make sense. This is a podcast with top notes of accessible discourse, heart notes of no snobbery and no gatekeeping, and a big old sexy bass filled with fun. If you can hear any weird noises in the background, that will be my pug, Gomez. He's a new addition to the family, and he has become my shadow. And he is currently suckling on a giant Christmas pudding, not a real one, but a cuddly, squishy one that he loves very much. So just any weird noises, they are not me. They are from Gomez. So, welcome to the podcast. It's another episode. As you know, I'm here to have a bit of fun and hopefully help you navigate this wonderfully fragrant world. And today's episode covers many things. We're talking a bit about blogging, boutiques, and brands. And I chat with Arielle Weinberg and Katri Haas, co-owners of Washington-based perfume boutique and fragrance brand Arielle Shoshana. Now, if you go way back in the world of perfume blogging like I do, you may have known Ari for her wonderful blog, Sense of Self. In this discussion, I wanted to find out how Ari went from blogging to opening her own boutique and starting her fragrance brand, and how Katri joined her on that journey. Both Ari and Katri have a really clear vision for what they want to create, with a retail space that sorts fragrances by type rather than brand, and entices people in with a scent of the day left outside for them to spritz. They have their own fantastic brand too, a beautifully colourful collection of fragrances, each inspired by the days of the week. It's a really fun and interesting conversation about creating fragrance and a really fascinating insight into the world of fragrance retail, which is ever changing, as you know. But before we get to that interview, you'll notice that I don't have adverts or sponsors for season 1 of this podcast, which means you get a nice, uninterrupted listen. I do, however, have a tipping service if you'd like to support me and the running costs of the podcast. You can do that by going to coffee.com/making sense make sense. That's ko-fi.com/making sense make sense. I really appreciate all of your support. Right, you'll be pleased to know that's the boring housekeeping out of the way. Let us not delay any longer. This is Making Sense Make Sense with Arielle Weinberg and Katri Haas. On today's episode, I'm joined by Arielle Weinberg and Katri Haas, co-owner of Washington-based niche fragrance boutique and brand Arielle Shoshana. Together, they've created a unique retail experience where fragrances are arranged by their scent profile rather than brand, encouraging organic exploration, as well as their own line of colourful and playful fragrances. Ari, Katri, it's a pleasure to have you join me on Making Sense Make Sense.
Thank you for having us, Thomas.
We're really excited to be here.
And we are huge fans from back in the Candy Perfume days.
Yes, may he rest in peace, the Candy Perfume boy. And likewise, you know, I'm huge fans of everything that you do. My first question is so broad, but how important was fragrance to both of you growing up?
My father, before I was born, was in a pretty serious car accident in which he broke his nose and lost his sense of smell. It's returned over the years, but sometimes a little strangely. And so perfume was not worn in my household. My mom had a bottle of Chanel No. 5, which I did, of course, sneak into her cabinet for. I really stumbled upon perfume accidentally. I was just looking for reviews. I think at age 15, Lancome had just put out a new mascara with a really fun, weird brush. And I came across a perfume review, and it was so lyrical and just it brought my attention to perfume as something beyond, you know, the pink juice that they spray on you as you attempt to escape through the department store. That there was a story here. And I have been rather obsessed ever since.
Yeah. I love that.
I think I started reading about perfume relatively young, but I would have been on the same forums for Makeup Alley. And my mother and grandmother both wore tons of opium, so I still associate that with the smell of Christmas. So I think I got my first little Estee Lauder Christmas gift set, like it was the mini Beyond Paradise, probably when I was like 12 or 13.
Iconic.
Yeah. So kind of dipped my toe in there, and just, there's a whole universe to tap into with the internet. So we're seeing the new wave of that with TikTok, but we were there, back when you were just like playing The Sims and G-chatting someone on AIM or whatever. Not G-chatting, but DMing.
It is so wild
totally
to
changed.
see
That discovery.
This is the golden age of being a perfume lover.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, that whole description is so nostalgic. I'm just imagining myself playing The Sims, spraying some Beyond Paradise, getting some early noughties vibes there. And that's a really iconic fragrance to start your journey with. Ari, obviously you entered into the world of fragrance as a blogger. I remember the Sense of Self days, and that's how we met. At what point did you think, I want this to be a career? And what made you decide that a fragrance boutique was the way for you to start your career in fragrance?
I started Sense of Self my freshman year of college to distract myself from the fact that I was failing everything. And as the years passed and I continued to fail everything, it became increasingly clear that perfume was really the one thing bringing me some brightness in otherwise a really challenging and difficult moment. And so when I graduated, I moved to New York with the intention of applying to perfumery schools, which I did. And given the previously mentioned failing at everything, I know you'll be shocked to hear that I am a perfumery school reject. But while I was working on those applications, I also worked at niche perfume boutiques like Arielle Shoshana in New York, at Oswald and at Min, both in Soho. And it was a wonderful experience, and I thought, we don't have anything like this back home in the Washington, D.C. area, and someone's definitely going to open one because we need this, and maybe that someone could be me.
And it sounds like it was a really good decision.
You are so kind to say so.
And Katri, you became co-owner at a later date. How did you and Ari meet, and how did that creative partnership come about?
So I was also, I think, a series of failures. I graduated with a degree in graphic design, and I kind of bounced around, worked at an ad agency, but I was never the right fit for anything. I was constantly like getting hired and fired. I did window displays at Saks. I got fired from that. So I was constantly failing to the point where my parents were like, okay, you got to figure something out. So I ended up couch surfing with a much more successful friend in Nova, and I got a job at Lush and at Bloomingdale's, and I was like, oh, I enjoy the sales part. So I came in as a customer of Arielle's.
Failing up, baby.
I was failing up. I was managing Mercury when I met Arielle, because I was pretty entrenched in the cosmetics world at that time. And then I think Ari had been working a long time on her own, and I think I was helping out in exchange for product, and then I got hired maybe a week later. So definitely it's been a journey, but sort of stumbled into it as well.
And you've forged like a really nice partnership together in terms of how you work.
Katri is my sister with all that word conveys.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Katri's first order was a bottle of Arquiste, the Architects Club.
Yeah.
And she is still the queen of beautiful, woody, incensey vanillas.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I thought what Arielle had built was just so incredible and inspiring, and I was a little intimidated because of the writing, which I can't do, and both of you guys are such good writers. So, it's been a partnership. We've gone through the ups and downs, but I think we have a pretty good sense of how the other one works and how to balance things at this point.
And one of the unique things about Arielle Shoshana is that fragrances are organized by scent category rather than brand. What was the thinking behind that to do it in a different way?
Well, certainly we're not the first to do it. All credit to our dear friends at Lucky Scent and Scent Bar, where they do it beautifully. But I think it makes particular sense in the DC area where, you know, we're not New York, we're not LA. In many cases, people come in and they're not familiar with most of the brands that we carry. So sorting them traditionally by brand would not be particularly useful to anyone. So we think sorting by type, sweet, fresh, floral, and then we have our undefinable section where many of our best sellers live.
I think it's really important to have that exploration when people come in versus like aggressive sales pitch. And so what I liked about it is that you could just explore and be left alone or as involved as you wanted to, which was not the normal shopping experience.
Yeah, it really encourages that, doesn't it? That natural exploration, and people will be drawn to potentially what they know and then can be steered a little bit to help them. I read an interesting interview of you both online, which I really enjoyed, which is you sometimes don't always agree on where to put something in terms of scent category.
And now that we have a larger team, there are even more opinions on where something should be categorized. So sometimes there will be little quiet wars where every day it will wake up in a new section. Who moved it there? I don't know.
We're just letting it kind of go and see. But I think at some point we should apply, like we should do testing or something and apply for a grant to see what sells best where. But undefinable overwhelmingly is the most popular section because I think people want to think of themselves as a little bit undefinable. We all are in a sense, right?
And in most cases, our customers are undefinable and their perfume taste is as
eclectic and weird as they are in the best way.
Absolutely. That's the best way to be. And you've got a really finely curated selection of brands, and some are, you know, bigger name niche brands that people would recognize, but others are lesser known. How do you select which brands to stock in the store?
So Katri does the trade shows, Essence, Pitti, and has found some fantastic brands there. Experimental Perfume Club, I would say, is probably our crowning jewel. Mm-hmm. We're the only U.S. retailer at the moment, and they're such beautiful, immediately distinctive fragrances, and then they become even greater when, you know, not just layered together, but physically mixed together in, you know, whatever ratio you are experimenting with. I am head over heels for their Tonka Sesame.
It's beautiful. And then Arielle has a really like cerebral, intellectual approach to perfume. So if it's something, you know, complex and interesting but still wearable, that's always going to get her, as well as, you know, fun gourmands. And the packaging, the price point, all of that comes into play too. Sometimes we're just going online and DMing brands and seeing what happens. So it kind of depends.
Sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, but see also failures. So we'll reach out to whoever because we're not scared of rejection. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of it, isn't it? It's just going out and seeing what's out there. And you go to the trade shows, Katri, you go to Essence and Pitti, and those, I've been to them. They are big and overwhelming. What is it when you're there? What are you looking for? Is it something that stands out to you specifically, or are you just feeling the vibe and seeing where you're led?
A little bit of both. I think Arielle has a really solid, like, I know what she's going to like as well. So if I can make a beeline and, you know, look at things and know immediately if the packaging doesn't work or if it's overwrought, it's not going to be the right fit for us. If the price point is too high, we don't want it. If it's a, you know, story that we've heard 8,000 times, you know, we don't want that either. So we're looking for fun, ultimately, is the big draw, I think, for us, and accessibility. So I think that's kind of the thing. And now we've got our younger employees that are very attuned, and so they're always giving us new recommendations. So we're kind of but yeah.
I think by accessibility, we mean, you know, we were the Sephora teens hanging around, you know, the perfume counters, and we wouldn't have been able to afford, you know, a $200 bottle, even with a lot of babysitting money. So we always want there to be something that a perfume lover of any age, budget can find and really adore. That's the kind of shop we wanted there to be in the DC area, and the kind of shop that we're very proud to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful approach, isn't it? Because with niche, you've got a plethora. You've got, it's a real playground of scent that you can go out there and find just about anything. But the prices can be really, really high, and that's a really big barrier. So it's really refreshing to see a retailer looking at going out and going, well, we want a mixture, we do, but we want to have stuff that people can come into and that is fun, is accessible, that people don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on or have to save for months and months and months to buy. So that's really refreshing.
We have things that are 200 and above too, but it's very important to us that they be worth it, that they really are like recognizably a level above. We just had a great event with Regime de Fleur this past week, who is one of our higher priced lines, and we honestly kind of can't believe it sells as well as it does, but people can tell that there is something special about these fragrances and they're not going to get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
When the quality is there and the artistry is there, people are willing to pay the money, especially if it's a unique product as well. Fragrance is such a complex product. How do you make it relatable and meaningful for customers on the shop floor?
I would say that being autistic is a significant factor in my love for perfume and my approach to perfume, and part of that is really putting a high value on the sensory, about how a perfume's textures or does the perfume feel scratchy? Is it shrill? Is it plush? Is it smooth? I very rarely discuss when going through the shelves with a customer, this perfume is for like a date night, or this perfume is for summer. Less about some of the more traditional,
prescriptive,
less about the story of the fragrance, even though I love those stories, I love to hear them. But in my experience, what people really choose a fragrance for is how they connect with it on that very animal level of what does this
convey, what are my associations that like are very personal to me, versus like, why should I care if you liked this on a date night? You have to see the customer and let them see it through their lens versus telling them how to see it, right?
That sounds good.
Okay, I don't know.
I think this is because you're such a good interviewer, Thomas. This is sort of the first time I've attempted to verbalize this, but what people like about a fragrance is often consistent and replicable, and so that is usually my approach, is to determine what resonates with someone, and then find the fragrances that hold that for them on our shelves. It seems to have a fairly high rate of success.
Yeah, I can imagine, because what you're doing is you're taking it and making it relatable. I think a trap that many brands and retailers fall into is they want to talk about notes and ingredients, which, if you are really nerdy like the three of us, is great. We love talking about materials, we love talking about ingredients, but that's not always a relatable reference point, is it? If you want to talk about, say, a fragrance that's got benzoin in it, well, we would probably know what that means, and in our head would think, okay, that that's kind of shimmery, resinous, a little bit sweet, but that, unless you are someone that's come across that in nature, you don't know what it is. So if you're talking about texture and you use the example of scratchy, immediately I know exactly what that means, and anybody can do that. So you're actually making it really democratic and accessible for people through that. So I think it's such a refreshing approach to have. Katri, is there anything you want to add in terms of that, what you think, how it works on the shop floor for you?
I think just like giving people the space to either be as involved with us as they want, or with our associates as they want, or to kind of go in their own universe too. And I think one really useful tool is, I mean, I don't know that you could do this in DC or in New York or LA, but we have a scent of the day that we put outside with illustrations and descriptors, so anyone walking up and down the street can play with it. And we only get like shoplifted or have a bottle break like once in every blue moon. And we have one customer we've never met personally. She's or one woman that's probably in her 90s, power walking, and she'll spray whatever we have out there. And she's never come in, but she has that beautiful transcendent moment of getting to experience that luxury every day. And there's something so pure about that to me.
We get to be a part of her day.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
And it's fun to just dare people to try things that they say they never would, too. So I definitely like that element of like pushing people a little out of their comfort zone, but no snobbery, no inapproachability, no you have to reach behind the counter stuff. We really want it to be just come in and play and hang out.
This is my hot take to build on what Katri said about pushing people outside of their comfort zones is people do not always know what they want. Customers will actively mislead us unintentionally. They'll come in and they'll say, I love florals. And we'll spray them a jasmine, we'll spray them a rose, and they'll hate it. And we'll be like, but you said you love florals. Yeah, I love Flower Bomb.
Yeah.
No.
So you go home with a bottle of Vanilla Haze, ultimately, which is fine. We love that. But you just have to watch how people react versus what they say they like.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes they just don't have the vocabulary or the understanding to advocate 100%. For what they want in the way that we would need them to. I love that anecdote about having the bottle outside and you're kind of sharing the experience with your sort of local residents. You certainly so you could do that in New York or LA. You definitely could do that over here in London or Cambridge, where I am. Someone that would be pilfered very, very quickly, I can imagine. But that's a lovely thing to do. What we alluded to it at sort of the beginning when we touched on TikTok very, very briefly. And we're seeing people shop for fragrance very differently now. There's a real interest from Gen Z and dare I say even Gen Alpha, especially from young men who seem to be seeking, expensive and unique olfactory experiences. Is that something you're also seeing?
We certainly see it, and it's very exciting to us. We have always maintained that fragrance is unisexy. It is to be enjoyed by all genders, and it's thrilling to see the world get on board. I think we are absolutely seeing fragrance lovers perfume talk and perfume discords, Reddit, their tastes and their what they're really excited about shapes what brands launch and what gets sold. Gourmands are going hot and have been for at least a decade. I will also say, though, that even when, for example, Perfume Talk says, oh, we're over the gourmands, we're on to, I don't know, what are they into now?
We have to ask one of our shop youths.
Yes. Thomas, you probably know.
Yeah. It really depends on the person.
Wait. The end of the sentence was
okay.
that we don't necessarily see that reflected in what sells for us. If our sales numbers are to be believed, the gourmands are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So sometimes, the trend, it builds beyond you. It becomes it's out of your hands. It's taken on a life of its own that no one can stop.
Mm-hmm. But I think what's really positive about that is that the consumers are a lot more educated and informed. And I'm really excited to see, once those customers know themselves and what they like versus trends, which, you have to dip your toe into trends a little bit. But once you really know who you are and what you want and what you enjoy for your sake, the discovery is so much more exciting. So I like being able to convert someone who can come in and say, oh, what will women love or whatever, and thinking, no, what do you like? Let's go with what you like, versus this very prescriptive and tiresome sort of, way of it being like mood altering drugs or something when it's perfume.
I completely agree around the gourmands. They're here to stay. I think it's the type of gourmand that's changing. I think lots of talk around neo-gourmands, so things that are not typically sweet, they're not your angels, your flower bombs. But, I've had, I think coffee really is going to be the note of the year. I've had so many fragrances come through with coffee. And I think one that's going to surprise is banana. There seems to be lots of banana fragrances in the mix, which I'm really intrigued by in terms of, do I want to smell like a banana? I'm not sure, but I'm intrigued by that.
Nothing would make me happier than coffee, Katri.
Maybe. And then, one thing I was going to add was, I don't know if you read this article in Cosmo, but they just said Gen Z is gravitating towards gourmands versus relationships because it's a sprayable comfort scent. The article just dropped. I should be able to cite the author. But anyway, it's a fun little read if you have time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because I think the longest relationship I've had in my life has been with my bottle of Angel. So I think it tracks. It tracks. That's really fascinating.
To you crazy kids. I knew you would make it.
Yeah, I knew it too. Do you think you're seeing that younger male customer in store, or are they more online consumers, or are you seeing them? Are you interacting with them?
For us, they're definitely more in store. Mm-hmm. And in many cases, they'll come in knowing quite a bit. They'll know their jobs. They'll know their creeds.
Casa Maratis, Tiziana Terenzi. The harder it is to say and the more expensive it is, the more likely they are to ask if we carry it, which we don't.
But we definitely, as Katri said, perfume is about, you start with the trends and then you have a little moment of self-discovery. And so it's always very fulfilling to help, young folks of every gender go beyond, this is what I've seen get posted about, to, this is something that is so me that I cannot be without. It speaks for me. I also am excited about banana perfumes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I am
know,
too.
some of those kids come in, they'll try to, I had one very funny exchange with a kid who came after work, or not after work, I guess kids go to school, not to work, after school, and he came on his bike, and he was trying to sell some vintage batches of Aventus, and I was like, this kid is going to be a menace to our shop someday. We're going to have to hire him to keep the business successful. We'll have to buy him in or whatever. So that is kind of funny, the chutzpah that would take. I was tickled.
Yeah, in the old days, people used to sell dodgy watches and things, and now it's dodgy batches of Aventus. I see your content a lot on TikTok. I follow you on TikTok, and you guys do amazingly well on TikTok, and I love how approachable and fun it is. How important is it for you in terms of your marketing strategy? Is it changing how you communicate with consumers, or is it just something you like to do because it's fun?
It is not fun for me, actually. It is very scary, and so I'm very grateful that anyone watches, and you are too kind, Thomas. I've mentioned earlier that autism also factors into communication for me. Verbal communication is often a challenge. I'll pause for longer than is socially acceptable to try to think of what the right word needs to be, even though objectively it would be better to just use an okay word and have completed the sentence. It just doesn't happen. But with TikTok, those are, of course, completely scripted, so I get to share my thoughts on perfume really in writing, the way that I did when perfume blogging starting out. And so I like TikTok much better for talking about perfume than for many years it was all about Instagram. And I am really not getting Instagram worthy photographs. I like the words. I have recently discovered that you can transcribe TikToks and then I can just read them. That's been very exciting.
So it's a new way of you exploring your writing in a way then, because you get to explore that and do it on TikTok in a new medium. And, you know, knowing that there may be some extra challenges and some fear around that for you in that medium, you know, I want you to know that that comes across so engaging and so interesting and so relatable. So as someone who watches that, I think you should be really proud of what you do, because I think it's really great.
Thank you, Thomas. It is really a full circle moment, and it's cool, as you know, as perfume fossils, as geriatric millennials, that there is this way that our sort of perfume origin story is, you know, relevant once again to the new generation of perfume heads.
Absolutely. Now I want to talk about your line of fragrances, because we can't talk Arielle Shoshana and not talk about the days of the week. So obviously you have your fragrances. I think you've got, is it 4 or 5 now? You've got Friday to Tuesday, have we got?
5.
Yes.
5,
Friday
yeah. So we've got
Tuesday with Saturday, our firstborn, Sunday, followed by Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Very little chronological order occurred here.
Yeah. We're running out of days.
So yes, any ideas for Thursday? So welcome. We need them.
Okay. I'll be intrigued to see what you do with Thursday. So what was the inspiration behind the weekday fragrances?
We did not originally have this inspiration. We didn't know that we would get to have multiple fragrances. So the perfume now known as Saturday was first born as Arielle Shoshana Eau de Parfum. There was a little retconning, and now the with these fragrances, the sort of image that comes to mind is like, okay, you're looking at your calendar, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you just cross it out and you write in whatever you want that day to be.
Or to feel like.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be a whole week of Saturdays. You know, you're making your own rules. You're spraying by your own rules, even perhaps. So the idea that we want you to play, we don't want to tell you what to do, how to wear them, what you should smell like, and our role in our fragrance line is to provide you with these very sort of audacious and original scents, and the rest, the ball is in your court.
Mm-hmm.
And the days of the week it's, you know, I know it didn't start out that way in terms of the concept, but they are quite relatable concepts for people, really, because it gives you a lot of opportunity for storytelling, you know, of what a Monday would feel like and what a weekend is like. Out of the ones I've tried, I think my favorite is Sunday. If you've not tried it, you must. It is the most cozy, comforting matcha fragrance you'll find. It's very soft, it's warm, it's creamy with that lovely sort of bittersweet blend of matcha and delicious milky rice and coconut. I think it's a masterpiece. I think all other matchas need not apply. I think it is the one. I think you've worked with the perfumer to create something really, really beautiful there. And you're working exclusively with Cécile Roy to create the fragrances. How does that creative partnership work for you?
Well, thank you so much for your kind words about Sunday, Thomas. I'm thrilled you love it. As you say, there are more and more matcha perfumes these days, but I think Cécile created something that is still quite unique, something creamy and cozy, and you really do get that almost chalkiness of matcha in a terribly appealing way. I guess chalkiness is not traditionally appealing. That's the magic of Cécile, who we will be working on Wednesday with as well.
We are working on.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
And Cécile is based in New Jersey, so we have a long-distance relationship. We're perfume pen pals, where she will send us mods, different versions of the fragrance. We give feedback. She goes back to the drawing board, sends a next round of mods, until we have driven,
exasperated her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the last of her patients. And then usually we go back to the previous round of mods just to be awful. But it's hard to argue with the end results. We think that the fragrances are each really very different from anything else that's out there. That does make them polarizing in some cases. Saturday's Fragrantica reviews are quite vicious, so any Saturday lovers out there, please go and stan in reviews. But you're not going to smell like anyone else.
Yeah.
And I think my view is if you're getting the vicious Fragrantica reviews, you're doing something right, I think. I would say. And so that's a big part of it, is then to try and create something that is a unique experience for people that they won't find anywhere else. How do you two, because you have a great dynamic between the two of you, and I can imagine you agree on a lot of things and also disagree on a lot of things. How are you working together on that with Cecile to sort of make sure that, in terms of Arielle Shoshana, you're on a united front, or how does that work? Because I'm interested by that dynamic.
With great difficulty.
I think at this point I've mellowed out a little bit. I think the dynamic used to be very stressful. Like, we would care so much about an Instagram post or a window display, and it would end in tears because both of us cared, and then we were like, this is silly. So we're figuring out more of a balance, but Arielle's judgment is the one that matters the most. I love Friday with all my heart. But it isn't the best seller, and I think that was kind of the one that I drove, and my instincts are not always right on these things. And Arielle has such a clear vision for what she wants to build. So, like, with regards to Wednesday, which is going to be a very exciting concept, I'm going to, let this tiny genius do what she wants and drive her brain, because Cecile gets tired of having too many people in a kitchen, and the end result works. So this is Ari's passion, that she's really
Friday is
her vision.
Beautiful. She is underrated, and justice for Friday for Katri's favorites.
But everyone can't be the star on the sitcom, so you have to have, supporting characters too. So with regards to Wednesday, this is Ari's vision coming to life, and I'm very excited for the end result. It's coming out hopefully in time for Black Friday or Black Wednesday.
My vision. So we hope to be able to say more about that soon.
We are going to wink and nod, but I think you will be excited to hear about the collaborator that we're talking with.
Okay, and that's absolutely a question I will be asking when the recording has stopped. Okay. And I think it's fascinating what you say in terms of, the mixture of the fragrances, that not everyone can be the star. And I think that's quite nice in a collection of fragrances, really, because I always think a sign of a good fragrance collection is that you don't go in and love every single one of them, because if they're all, I love every single one, then they're almost just they're not going to be divisive or unique in a way. I think they'll be, and I think, Friday sometimes it just takes a bit of time for that to sort of resonate.
We don't necessarily set out to be unique and to be, different for the sake of different. These are just fragrances that resonate with us, and the lens through which we see and experience the world. Saturday, for example, comes from the first time I saw a passion fruit, and it was so bizarre looking that I actually shrieked. They look kind of like little
alien eggs.
Yes, larvae inside a purple egg. And so that sort of feeling of shock and then delight at the incredible flavor that followed inspired the fragrance. So we're not weird for the sake of weird. We just happen to be this weird.
I love it. That's a soundbite. We're not weird for the sake of being weird, but we just happen to be. Lovely. We've hinted at it a little bit, and I suppose my next question kind of is partially already answered, I suppose, but what's next for Arielle Shoshana?
A couple things, actually. So we're opening up a shop in Alexandria in Old Town. So the DMV is DC, Maryland, Virginia. So we're all kind of connected. And so we're opening up a shop in Old Town Alexandria, which is a very historic district. And we have this beautiful courtyard garden that's being developed. It's private. It's climbing ivy. It's going to be great for events and master classes. We're going to have all this space. So we're really looking to build out the in-store experience with that new shop, which should open, we think, late summer, maybe, depending. And please come visit too. So that's one really exciting development.
You will have to stop me. I would absolutely love to come visit. One of the things that this podcast aims to do is to look at the fragrance industry from all angles. So one of the things I hear from people is they're interested in fragrance, they want to become a perfumer, and that's a fantastic thing. I'll always encourage that. But being a perfumer is a very particular skill set that not everybody has. It's not always the right fit for everybody. Yeah, exactly. Me too. Definitely not for me. But I want to showcase other professions and other ways that you can be in the industry. So what I like to ask people is, what advice would you give for anyone who's looking to start a career in the fragrance industry, whether it's in retail or in other areas? What would be your advice from both of you?
That is such a great question. I think I feel only qualified to answer it as a co-owner of a perfume boutique. But for me, what's very exciting and special about that is getting to, in a very concrete way, support and promote the fragrances that I believe in and that I want to see more of. So some lines that have really taken off at Arielle Shoshana recently, Born to Stand Out, Danam, Mudo. These are Fugazi. These are all brands that really that explore and celebrate the founders' culture and heritage, and share that with the rest of us. These go so far beyond the smelly pink stuff that they sprayed me with in the mall. These are fragrances that show us places we've never been and now desperately want to go, and make them part of our lives. And if you are not a perfume retail owner, but a salesperson and office manager, as we now have, we listen to everything you tell us. So you're influential on our buying in that way too. There are certainly, it is a historically rather secretive industry. So I'm glad you're shining light on the fact that there are more ways than anyone might think to get to be a part of just the coolest industry.
Mm-hmm. I think mine out the gate would be willingness to learn and try new things are the big thing. And, we get a lot of DMs respectfully from people that want like the most 101 on how to do this. And, it's nice to be asked, but I would say, you have to do a good amount of the research yourself, to come in up front. So people that are willing to do the research out the gate and learn, I feel like are always good quantities for this industry.
Don't trust us.
Yeah. And I mean, be willing to do the grubby work that nobody else wants to do as well. You've got to be able to do it all, because there's a lot of parts of the perfume industry that aren't very glamorous or fun, and you have to do that part too. I think, and if you're multilingual, obviously that's a huge advantage.
Because perfume has never been more global. Right. Where for many centuries it was all about Grasse. Mm-hmm. These days, you'll have perfumers living in Shanghai, in Brazil. And that really thrills me because thousands of perfumes launch every year, and so many of them smell
exactly the same.
They tell stories in which there is nothing new to say. So getting new perspectives means we get better, more exciting perfume.
Mm-hmm.
I second that. I think that's a great note to end it on. The future is global and really, really interesting. Katri, Ari, this has been such a joy. Thank you so much for joining me. Whereabouts can people find you online if they want to come and find you?
We are on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Arielle Shoshana. Our website is arielleshoshana.com. And please come visit us at our first location in the Mosaic District, and soon at our new location in Alexandria, Virginia. And the joy was entirely ours, Thomas.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. It's a pleasure. Gosh, I can't tell you how much I want to hop on a plane to Washington after that conversation. I think Ari and Katri have crafted a really unique space with Arielle Shoshana. It sounds inviting, and most importantly, it encourages organic exploration for curious noses. With the world of fragrance being so vast, and let's face it, oftenly so intimidating, that, my friends, is something wonderful indeed. I've been trying the rest of their fragrance collection over the last few weeks, and I've really enjoyed each scent. They're fun without being pretentious, and they're challenging whilst also being wearable. Standouts for me are Saturday, which is the most colourful, punchy, sulfuric, fruity passion fruit you'll ever try. I also really love Sunday, which is just creamy, sweet and savoury matcha and rice milk. It's just so soothing and calm. One of those fragrances that I found myself gravitating towards when I just don't really want to think about what I smell. I just want to smell nice. Do you ever have those days where you just want to have something calm? You don't have to think about it too much. That's Sunday for me. And also Tuesday, which is so wonderfully minty, but also simultaneously so wonderfully fruity. I just can't stop smelling it. It's a lovely collection, and I suggest you seek it out. Now, if you want to know more about Arielle Shoshana, you can head to arielleshoshana.com. You can also follow the brand on Instagram and TikTok at Arielle Shoshana. I'll put all of those links and all of that information in the show notes for you, because I am really helpful and nice like that. I'll do that just for you. But that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I certainly had fun recording it. And next week, I'll be speaking with an absolute legend, an icon in the world of perfume PR. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Before we go, I'm going to ask our guests to share the fragrances they have an emotional connection with, as I do with all of our guests. I will see you next week for a new episode. Until then, you can follow me on Instagram at Making Sense Make Sense. But for now, it's over to Ari and to Katri. I'll see you next time.
One Day Taipei is a fragrance that's become so special to me in the last year. I discovered it in the world's best perfume boutique, Tigrance, in Taiwan. They were the very first to carry Arielle Shoshana, and so they are so special to us. And Taipei is exactly the kind of thing that I love. It is a gourmand with rice milk. My friend Daisy says it reminds her of a favorite Chinese dessert, tofu in golden syrup. So it is immensely comforting. Every time I wear it, I am reminded of just how amazing and special that felt to see our work on the other side of the world. If you have not visited Tigrance, book the plane ticket. It is a beautiful shop of incredible fragrances like One Day Taipei.
Emotional connection for me, I think I get seasonal affective disorder and depression, so anything big and sunny and bright that captures that sunshine streaming in is really significant for me. So it would be a draw between DS and Durga's Durga, that beautiful, dramatic, shimmering tuberose, and then Ormonde Jayne's Champaca with that orange blossom and basmati rice feels just like lush and sunny, and the more sun I can get, the better.